Like, remember the Fox Merlin's Mistress BBS?
Oh
Like,
my gosh, I
uh,
was thinking about that this week. All the little mini games
yeah.
on the Coven website.
Hmm.
It
Yeah,
was
there were.
full of mini games, which, there's a little part of me, of course, misses the little mini games, but I
Yes.
can't remember what they were exactly, but they were akin to, travel puzzles and Hangman and tic-tac-toe, and I
Yeah.
don't know what they were though. My memory's just kind of filling in different things. I'm sure that other Coven people would remember quite well. But the early Coven website um, was very front facing for the public and had mini games
Mhm.
because Alexandria liked mini games. She thought it was
And
good for the brain.
she was cutting edge. She was always on the forefront of technology. And
Yes.
Merlin's Mistress, that really was early. I remember the apartment that she was in when she created that. It was the
Yeah.
same era as Foxtails, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
And she had um, a, a CompuServe account when it was still numbers for your account
Yeah.
names were all numbers.
Yeah.
So and I mention all that because sometimes it seems like there might be a conflict between witchcraft and technology and science, but actually, like in our history, there isn't. It's
Right.
an
No,
embracing
she
of.
was very embracive. She would follow everything.
Mhm.
She the crazy thing is, I was in my 20s and she was in her 40s, I want to say, and she
Yeah.
knew more than me for certain, but for a brief time, she worked for the cable company.
Mhm.
Maybe not a brief time, but for a time, she worked for the cable company. And she was a clever salesperson and did
Yes.
well in that job. Um, and she I mean, I told you this, and that she predicted like everything was going cable at the time. Everything was going, and it was going from copper cable to fiber optic. And she was like, that's not where I see it going in the future. I see it all going cellular, straight to satellite, she said.
Mhm.
And there was a step between, right? With we went to cell towers,
Mhm.
and now that the next cutting edge is from your phone to space, like a satellite phone.
Yeah.
That's the next step, and that's what's being built now. So she was very correct. She was monumentally early.
Mhm.
She was so early, there's like no way to capitalize on it or anything like that.
Yeah. She knew it was coming. She knew it was
Yeah,
coming.
she was very logical, and she would think through. So
And the so when Trinkets started in 1995, Trinkets had a website
yeah,
from the very beginning. So
yeah,
the website started in 95.
yeah. I had a some sort of website.
You did? Yeah.
I think probably 96. I think
She
the
was
first one
early.
was very ambient, um, very expensive.
Yeah. Oh,
Early websites were like that. They were beautiful looking and not as functional.
yes. Yeah, the good days. So, and
Yeah,
if
the good
if
days. I mean, it never looked more beautiful. I was going to uh surprise you with pulling up something from the Wayback Machine,
I love that. I love that.
but I didn't do it.
That's
So
okay.
it was a
And
thought that occurred this week. So our brains must have been a little in sync there. So if viewers can do this too, though, but if you go to a website called The Wayback Machine or you Google it, there are snapshots, and it's not a complete story of the internet, which is a little unfortunate because now we have the capacity to store the entirety of the internet at every moment, at every year, sort of up to, a little bit of the past, with like public or resources. I
Mhm.
know the Wayback Machine was a bit of a charitable organization, something along those lines.
It was an
Um,
early one too.
yeah, it's nothing compared to what secret government tools may be like, but it's still remarkable. And I can go back and look at that very old Crystal Fox website,
Yes.
and be like, oh.
Hmm. You can go look at trinkets and see the original animated Trinket the cat.
Oh, well,
Actually,
that's what I want to do.
yeah,
Yeah, I
some
would love to go back and look at that old stuff, especially the Coven website with the mini games.
yes.
That was a big project of her at the time. She built that too. It
Mhm.
wasn't like somebody built it for her.
Yeah,
She built it.
she did
Um,
it.
yeah, she figured it out. Yeah, she
The
was full of
Trinkets
that.
website um was some of that was hired and some of that was us.
Right, right.
Yeah. And a lot of images have dropped off over the years. Um, but yeah, the Wayback Machine is pretty amazing. I've never looked for the Crystal Fox.
Yeah. Oh, it's nostalgic for me, but I was thinking of looking back at that old uh old Coven website.
Hmm. Same,
Just,
same.
just for the mini games, just to
Hey,
remember. But
it,
yes, she was very tech forward, very forward facing,
mhm,
and she was very savvy. I mean, a lot of that she talked about she, is what we as a culture are struggling with right now.
mhm,
So she knew all this was coming,
yeah.
and she had a level of fear or apprehension. Maybe not fear is the word, but fear in certain aspects. So fear, not like true fear, but um, knew that these things would be coming up in our current culture.
Hmm.
And I I thought she was ridiculous. I was like, it's not going to be like that. Um, it is it, and my fear and apprehension, just because of the nature of my personality, is much less than other people's. Because I'm actively unplugged from current politics, so I miss a lot. Um, I'm sort of plugged into technology and mm, uh, see a overarching storyline that's playing out. So on a very high level, and when you go on a very high level, where you know, individuals, you can't see them, but you see an overarching story of our civilization and our souls as spiritually evolving, then I think that's a point where you don't have a lot of fear, um, because you know that there's a larger storyline that's playing out. And my recent thoughts have been with the idea of that struggle is good, uh, because that is what makes our soul grow. And uh, the gods, I'd say, wouldn't be content with us being content. So a lot of near-death experiences, they talk about, you know, deity doesn't like people sitting on the couch. They don't like people on the sidelines. They want people involved
Mhm.
and the struggle is good. So when people say the struggle is real, and I'm like, you are in the right place. And I try not to value comfort too greatly, which is a little bit hard. I don't know if that's Spartan or Socratic or what, but you know, it's to do the hard work sometimes to put yourself in it, you know. But I will say that Alexandria always worked hard, but she always spoke about resting hard. Now, she didn't always take her own advice,
Right.
so it didn't always get around to that end corner. But being surrounded by people made it better for that rest period for that part of the cycle. So
Mhm.
if you work really hard, and we'll cover this in our our Wicca 101 in our coven teachings, if you work really hard and you reward yourself afterwards. So she even uses the word spoil yourself. So you even spoil yourself later. But her spoiling yourself later were usually moderate examples of, spoiling yourself. So it'd be but good enough. Like going out for ice cream. Although I think she literally used the example of having a yogurt once, like the yogurt was perhaps a substitute for having ice cream at the end of the day because you worked really hard to accomplish something. But anyone that were in the orb or in that coven of Foxmore, if they did not know hard work, they knew it
They knew it
after
after.
a short period of time. And some of that high burnout that we might have had just literally, I think, was because there are a lot of people that couldn't stay to that level because they didn't grow up at that level. So, when you enter that level, it can exhaust you because it's a brand new idiom. It's a brand new um, way of experiencing life where it's like, where do you rest? Where do you sleep? And it's like, I got a lot of sleep today and I got a lot of rest, but it's work hard, play hard, rest hard. So I, she did not, towards the end of her life, treat herself, I think, as well as she should have. But as an outsider, we always feel that way. So she was driving to succeed. So she was pushing herself, um, you know, she was riding her bike and exerting, you know, a lot of energy. But at the same time, I think she did want to sit down and talk to her friends. So I remember that conversation from her. She was like, I think you need to come down here and just sit and talk.
Mhm.
At the time, I was pushing myself forward, so I got a little bit, but not as much as I would have hoped, which is always a great way to leave a story in a great book, is that you always want more. So when you put down like a great story or a great book, you're like, oh, I want
Yeah,
more, and I think that life with her was like that. You just wanted more. I was hoping to make the point is that when you're surrounded by a group, it's easier, like when you all work hard together, that
yeah,
when you get to the end, you all treat yourself well.
agreed.
Like if you're together with a group, let's say you're moving or shoveling a driveway or something like
Mhm.
that, imagine everyone working hard together, but then they all take that break together. They all come into the warmth. They all
Yeah,
have that hot chocolate together. There's that moment where, yeah, you've worked hard, but that's the camaraderie. It's the other side of it.
it's the good part.
The
And
good
the
part. And she did,
gatherings, oh,
yeah, yes, yeah. Go ahead. You're saying what I'm thinking.
our coven gatherings, like going to parks around the area, and we would have cookouts, and we would have three-legged races, and famous pie eating contests, which
Yes.
you won at least one of them,
Yes.
and just have the best
I think I
time.
won them all except for one.
I think you probably did. Yep.
And I think the one that I lost, I don't think there was any way I could win because they were so intent. And also, I had such a history of winning that I think there might have been the sort of like, let somebody else win sometimes.
That's kind of you. Yes, yeah.
Well, yeah, and I think it was important. So it's important for someone else to win and shine, then you let them have that space.
Yeah, yeah, agreed.
I am. This is the part that will cut. Yes, I might need more coffee. I was like looking at the monitor. I was like, yeah, I'm tired. I think it was Graham Hitchcock that said it, but he said it in a macro way. We were a species with amnesia. Um, but our amnesia is so great that at this sort of technological advancement wave that we're sitting on, it is people just forget so quickly. So I used to use my mom as the example because she rode in a wagon next to her father. So she was in a wagon when she was growing up.
Wow. Yeah,
She didn't even have me yet, and we land a rocket on the moon.
yeah. It's extreme.
Yeah.
Extreme. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a wild time that we live in.
One of the things I noticed is that like I felt that with Foxcraft, we were on the cutting edge of religious freedom.
Right.
Like we were leading the way for a lot of this. And a lot of the things that were cutting edge in the 80s and 90s have become demonized now. And it reminds me that the people who are cutting edge now are going to have their tactics demonized in the next 30 to 50 years. And
Yeah.
that's the nature of the beast, is that the things that were leading the way become
Yeah.
outdated. And the
Right.
challenge is how
Yes.
to keep up in some
Yeah.
respect.
I think it's to see the eye of the storm. If you see these waves coming through, is that you look past and look in the center, you know, the center that, seemingly doesn't move, even though the eye of the hurricane moves, but it's a place of stillness. But my dad had this theory, and that was his thesis. And in a strange way, I don't know if he knew what to do with that information,
Mhm.
but he saw this sort of, like um, the way that sometimes people explain it is like trends, like the bell bottoms, they come and every 20 years they come
Mhm.
again. And different, they change a little bit.
Mhm.
Um, Alexandria talked a lot about this, and she saw it as a spiral in the sense that
Mhm.
these patterns keep playing out, but they would change.
Mhm.
So we see sort of a and how it is now is very strange. It's just like I think, because when you look at the roots of it a bit, when you like peel back the layers of it, I still see that, people are largely the same. You can go to extreme. I mean, if maybe you go to the extreme and they really are different, but let's just say that most people want, a place for the children to grow up and be safe. Um, uh, and that seems to be like the human nature, so I think what people kind of forget is their humanity
Mhm.
in that they sort of get stuck on a political idea and then they kind of get lost. They get pulled away, you know, the storm surge is pulling them out to sea a little bit because their their focus, their center idea was, the safety of their children, and now they are, you know, yelling out their window at somebody, with the kid in the back seat or something, where they are no longer in the situation where they're creating uh, security and happiness for their loved ones, you know.
And my Jewish friend said, I was talking about my tradition says that Jews and pagans helped each other
Yes.
in the olden days. And my Jewish friend was like, wherever people are persecuted, there are Jews living. And I am not a student of Jewish history, but that made a lot of sense. And no wonder we bond. We did talk, like our Candlemas is a tree festival in Judaism.
God, this is all right. So now we're in this. I had a dream where my takeaway, well, and there was a German element too. I should probably mention that, but all right. So it's in a like what was a castle, but it was monumental ceilings, huge. But I was in like the main floor, and it was tavern. Like everyone was drinking. Um, it was modern. It was like today. Like all the people were like today people,
Mhm.
but um, we're in this like monumental castle. Um, and then I feel like I was steered or brought to like a lower level, and in the lower level there, it was like guided. I was guided there, so I felt like God was um guiding me to this, and there was a old Jewish wo woman in the basement, sort of in a corner. Um, And this old Jewish woman, you got the feeling like she was a survivor of
Mhm.
Auschwitz, or just an old Jewish woman who had survived living a long life. And she had a blanket for me, and she wanted me to have this blanket. The takeaway, um, that and maybe another dream I'd had, was that God wanted me to be Jewish. Um, that I had this dream, and I knew that the dream was the day was special.
Mhm.
And I told I think a Jewish card reader the next day, used to be in the shop, and she was like, "Yeah, the holiday that we celebrate is blah blah blah." And it was either it may have not been Lammas, it may have actually been the autumn equinox. And so there's a Jewish holiday on the autumn equinox, which I wasn't even aware of at the time.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think that the takeaway was that God didn't want me to be alone. And there's literal like metaphor there. I don't, and there's a saying even, I don't care what blanket you cover yourself in. I just want you to be covered in a blanket. And that blanket is religion, you know.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. So, but I didn't know how to tell any of my pagan family or pagan friends this story.
I will not publish this.
Well, it
But
was just interesting, you know. I mean,
yeah,
it doesn't even matter that you did publish it. You could, but um, uh, because I think that, God just, like without a coven, God didn't want me to be sort of alone, I guess,
yeah.
and that there was this old Jewish woman who had a blanket for me. That was what was important. So the important thing is the love. The takeaway is, of course, is that. And it did really make me wonder about God.
Mhm. So and I know you have to get coffee, but one more observation on this is
Mhm.
that one of our coven friends talked about being raised by nuns,
Mhm.
and that one of the senior nuns said that there are many paths to center and you just have to find the one that fits your feet.
Yeah.
And I love that too.
Yeah.
That too. Get some
Yeah.
coffee. Get some
All right, I'm
coffee.
gonna go get some coffee. That'll give us a little silence, and you can publish that. It's totally fine.
Um, I know in our tradition, we basically do divination at, the holidays, and it's kind of a special thing. But some of my modern friends do card pulls every day.
Yeah.
I have a friend who actually does an album pull, which I think is just absolutely fantastic. And a super idea of actually like literal albums. She
Yes.
has vinyl.
Nice.
So
Good.
it's so cool to find joy in all kinds of different places.
Yeah.
Not a lot different from turning open the dictionary
Yeah.
back when there were dictionaries and putting your finger on a page to see what word it was you landed on.
Yes. Yeah.
So yeah, I have one of my favorite decks. I have a bunch of them, as do probably a lot of our participants, because it's so easy to just start collecting tarot cards and oracle sets.
Yes.
And today I have the Celtic Wisdom Tarot,
Oh, nice. Very
which
cool.
I can. Is this something that you can get at the Crystal Fox?
As long as it's in print.
I think it still is. I took a look. It's really, really a beautiful deck of cards.
Every now and then I'd ask, have this idea of how many decks we had. So
Hmm.
my memory starts at 1 or 20 or 10 decks that we
Yeah.
used to carry at Foxcraft. And then it was like 70, a regular set of 70, and it was 120 different tarot decks. And then it was 300 different tarot decks. So in my brain, I had stopped at 300. And I was thinking it was still like 380 or something like that. And
Yeah.
I was asking a coworker how many different tarot titles. And they laughed at me when I was like thinking it was in 300s. I actually don't remember what the number was, but it was between 700 and 900 different titles.
That is
You know,
so cool.
like, what?
Yeah.
I was like, we have that many? And I'm staring at the collection, but I just, the numbers become meaningless in the brain at some point where your brain just can't, gets to a certain number, it just kind of gets stuck there. But there's
All
so
right.
many that people say, do you have this in stock? And I have to look it up, unless it's, the top 10 or top 20 sellers.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, how's the rider? Is that still like a basic? Um,
So Rider Waite Tarot is
mhm,
I would say in their top three or top four bestsellers. So it is not number one
mhm,
anymore, but that position kind of moves and shifts. Um, and the top three I could tell you are the Modern Witch Tarot,
mhm,
which is very inclusive. People of different color on all the cards,
mhm,
Modern Witch Tarot, but it's based on the Rider Waite. So it's
mhm,
very traditional Rider Waite symbolism, organization, and structure. Just has a rainbow of skin colors in it.
mhm.
That is and my favorite card is the Magician, and they put the Magician on the cover of the deck. It's a great card. Um, So that is often number one, Modern
Mhm.
Witch. Um, but Light Seer is up there, and that's in the top three. And it's seers, spelled like a psychic seer, light seer.
I like that.
And that's very popular. It's also been around for a while, so there's always some surprise of people, even experts in the field, that these are the top three. Because Lightseer's been around for a while, and the Modern Witch has been around for a while too. But
Mhm,
you can understand why it's popular. It's because if you want to get started with the tarot, but you don't necessarily want the Rider Waite, um,
mhm.
uh, the Rider Waite is getting outdated slowly, I guess. Um, if you look at the medieval tarot, they're, I think for a modern eye, it's hard to read with, because the imagery we don't understand. We can't look at the person in the image and see a nursemaid. We look in the image and we see a medieval woman in some clothing, and we don't understand the
Yeah,
context.
yeah.
And so with the modern decks, there's a lot of context. So, um, but yes, great systems exist out there, and some of those classics are still in print, like the Crowley Thoth.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
yeah, and you can say Thoth a few different ways. You can say Tahuti, or you can say Thoth,
Or Toth. I've
or
heard that.
Toth. Yeah.
Mhm. I've heard that
Um,
too.
Tahuti was told to me by an academic person with a degree. I was like, oh, that's how the Egyptians said it, which I think in turn they've even, narrowed it down a little bit more to something maybe a little bit different but close. So,
Anyway.
but yeah, so a lot of great classical decks are still out there, and
Mhm.
they're still in print. Um, every year some kind of fall by the wayside, but I think sometimes, like, a lot of the ones that we were probably in love with are still there. Yeah. Still today. Yeah.
Hey, thanks for watching. We
Thanks.
appreciate you.